Hey everyone, this is Matt Behrend. I'm very excited to be talking to you today about personalized video, using personalized video to accelerate sales. I've loved the Sales Acceleration Technology Summit in years past, and so I'm appreciative that you chose this session to spend time on. I'm really excited. I'm confident that you'll get some things out of this that you've never heard before. So let's get right to it. My name is Matt Behrend. I'm co-founder and CRO of Consensus. You might remember us as DemoChimp. We loved the DemoChimp brand, but as we grew, we needed a brand that more directly called out the challenge of enabling sales reps to drive consensus among buying groups. So we rebranded as Consensus. The challenge of changing our sales processes to meet the demands of how buying groups buy is the most critical challenge in today's B2B sales landscape, I think. So today I'm going to talk about how personalized video technology can now help us to do just that, to sell more effectively to buying groups. And these methodologies, if you haven't heard them in the past, they're incredibly powerful, or if you're not already using them, they're similarly powerful to the results you likely got when you switched from manual dialing to dialing technology. So we're at that point in the evolution of sales process, especially as it's reflected in how buyers buy. But it's that kind of big of a shift, I think, in the way that we sell, and personalized video is really key to that. So let me clear up a few definitions quickly before we get in. So there are a million titles for this, but sales development rep we'll be talking about today, responsible for communicating with prospects with the goal of qualifying them and setting appointments with them, typically to engage with an AE or account executive, which is our next one. So I'll say AE quite a bit, I think, in this, and that's just account executive. And again, as I talk about them, they're responsible for helping a buyer to understand the value you can provide for them and coaching the buyer through the evaluation and buying process to a close, right? So they close deals. So the last thing I want to talk about is this concept of buyer enablement before we get into the meat of this. Buyer enablement is a new software category, a new category of sales acceleration technology that is geared towards helping the buyer, helping the buying group to make their decision more quickly and confidently. Okay, so let's get into it. So we live in a changed world. Some of this research that I'm about to show is probably going to look a little bit familiar, but I think the methodologies I'll show now and later will be new for you. So let me explain how the buying equation as it is now just does not add up. So the sales rep that you're training, the sales reps on your team, they likely take 6 to 8 months to ramp. Even if you're really efficient, it take 4 months to ramp. They're only spending about an hour with a prospect, and then a prospect is expected to go into their organization and do the internal selling. So most of the time, it's the prospect's actual choice where they say, hey, thanks for all the information you've given me. I'm going to go back and talk to the rest of these stakeholders. But it just doesn't work that way. They're not good at selling effectively. They don't personalize the information to each of the individual stakeholders very well. And typically they often lack the drive to just get it done. The deals that do get done pretty much only happen when you have a prospect champion that really gets it. But most prospects, they're not trained to do this. They're not professional buyers. They're professional managers or leaders in the sales organization. And so when they go to try to sell internally, they really struggle. So that's where this research comes in. The Challenger Customer, which is the next or another book from CEB, which is they wrote the Challenger Sale, kind of the B2B sales Bible. And in their research in their new book, they found that 80% of buyers want more support when they go to sell internally. So we as a B2B sales industry are not doing a good job of enabling our buyers when this happens, right? When they go to try to sell internally. So if we this was published in the Harvard Business Review, also in combination with CEB, but they found that the purchase likelihood, so along the x-axis here is the number of buyers in a buying group, and along the y-axis is the percentage likelihood. So if there's one buyer, there's an 81% likelihood of purchase. And as you get to the industry average of around 6 stakeholders in a buying group, the purchase likelihood actually drops 50%. So this is this research just backs up what I talked about in the last slide, which is that we are losing deals many more than we probably realize, just because our sales process doesn't necessarily match the buying process or recognize that you're selling to a buying group, and it puts too much dependence on that single champion to go get the deal done for you. So here's some additional research looking at how we're losing deals to this group decision making, or losing deals to the fact that our sales process doesn't necessarily match up to the buying process. And I'm going to get to how personalized video fits into this in just a second. So looking at the buying process, they're learning, they're understanding their needs, they're exploring options, and more people are getting involved as they move along. Well, what CEB found was that conflict actually peaks at 37% of the way through this process. So internally, they're already looking at multiple vendors. They're already considering multiple options and running into this conflict where everybody's not necessarily educated in the right way. Their opinions aren't totally informed, but they're trying to make decisions about their buying, about a potential purchase. So as it goes on, they're evaluating options, and then they're eventually making a decision, and the buying group has gotten larger and larger along the way. So 37% conflict peaks. Where do you think sales is getting involved? You've probably seen the research. It's about 57% of the way through the process. So conflict among this buying group is actually peaking before they're ever meeting with a sales, officially with a sales rep. So the 37%, that's the land of marketing, nurturing, qualification, inbound demand gen, and most importantly, sales development. I think sales development can have a big impact on that. So based on all this research, we live in a world that really needs personalized video. And not just, personalized. So if you remember when email became automated, there were the mail merge feature came out. And we all still use it way too much today, but it's effective, where you can input their name, hello so and so, and it fills in the field, pulling from a database. So I'm not talking about that kind of personalization. What I'm talking about is personalized messaging to the persona using video as a medium. So it's really exciting technology that's come out. But let's get into some keys to this. So remember, conflict is peaking at 37%. Your SDRs are reaching people often before that conflict can occur, hopefully, but there are a few critical problems, big gaps where most of your sales process doesn't align with how your buyers want to buy and how they need to buy. So let's talk about those problems, and now I'm going to get into some of the tactics of how you can use personalized video to sell to buying groups, right? And what exactly does this look like inside of a sales process for both sales development reps and account executives? So the first problem that personalized video can address in sales is that outbound channels, or specifically to SDRs, right? Outbound channels are getting really noisy. They're already really, really noisy, actually, and they're just getting noisier as more and more companies automate their outreach and communication through these different channels. So generic emails that look like they're from a person are looked at as kind of an annoying experience, right? When you get an email and it has that surface level personalization. It has your name and your company name in the context of the email, but it's not actually personalized, right? There's no human insight that's clearly put into the email that lets you know that it's from a real person that's been thinking about you as a prospect. People really crave personalization, especially in the business world and in communication. So, and it's really always been this way. Many of you know this as one aspect of account-based selling, right? This new wave that's the reaction to the automation wave. But account-based selling is now not really a luxury or a secret weapon. It's now kind of table stakes, right? Because these channels are so noisy. So here's the first tip: including personalized video in email, calling it out in the subject line, and with a personalized button, which the technology can now do. Your click-through rate could be as high as 33%. So this isn't, I'm not talking about the open rate, right? The 33% as an open rate would be amazing on its own, but this is a 33% click-through rate. So this is often 5 times better than what most other tactics are getting. So personalized video in sales development rep email is really effective. Now, this is where it starts to change the game, right? Your buyers are buying as groups. If you remember that they're already engaged in conflict around 37% of the way through their buying process. They haven't talked to a sales rep yet. So this is key. Personalized video, when gets shared 61% of the time. So of all of those, that 33% click-through rate from your sales development rep emails, 61% of those are being shared with other stakeholders. So this is allowing buyers to engage with you the way that they want and need to, right? They want to educate themselves, but each of those stakeholders needs personalized, unique messaging, and personalized video technology now enables sales development reps to do that. So it's really powerful. And of course, educating buy groups early is really key to selling in today's environment. So this is the next problem that sales development really faces today. There's just too much noise, or all of this noise has given B2B buyers a strong appetite for self-learning before they commit to a meeting with sales. So they're saying, hey, I'm busy, just send me something, right? And typically, or they're saying, I really need to see value before I can give this time. So in a recent study of about 1 million sales calls, about 40% of SDR conversations ended this way, where the buyer wasn't saying no, they saw the value, but they're just saying, hey, I'm just not ready to engage. So can you send me something so that I can evaluate this further before I commit time to it? So you need to ask yourself the question, what are you sending them in this situation, right? If 40% of the people that you're having conversations with are reacting this way, what are you sending them? If it's just a PDF, then you're definitely losing out on many, many opportunities. The reality here is that business is happening asynchronously, 24 hours a day. And if you're only able to do business when one-to-one meetings can happen, you're definitely going to be left behind. So if you haven't already recognized it, your competition is probably evolving to sell more asynchronously and with more personalization. So sending personalized video when people are saying, hey, I don't have time, can let them catch the vision on their own time. And most importantly, again, remember this, it gives them something to share with the other stakeholders so that it can drive that internal process, right messaging to the right person. So when you're using personalized video this way, you can reference it in voicemails that you're leaving. You can reference it in social and email messages that you're sending. You can make sure that they feel that learning about your offering and understanding the value is much easier than committing to meeting with an account executive. All of your competition is except the ones that have already evolved. But most of the market right now is still saying, here's 2 or 3 reasons why you should meet with an account executive. And that's typically what SDRs are doing in their outreach. But there's a major gap there. Buyers don't want to meet with an account executive right away. They need more personalized education before they're comfortable committing time. So, if you remember this, buyers the conflict is peaking 37% of the way through. They are engaging with other stakeholders before the appointment that they set with you. So what are they saying about you? What do they know about you? What are you sending them to share with other stakeholders like we talked about before? Most SDRs don't engage with prospects in a way that supports the way that prospects are buying, right? They're not acknowledging that even when an SDR is reaching out, that there are already multiple people involved. So really, though, the question is, how could they, right? Typically, SDRs are only given text-based PDFs or things like that. But what if you look how personalized video is performing, it typically converts up to 2 times as well as text-based PDF or images, things like that. Really, any other medium. So 2 times. We really can't afford not to be using personalized video in our SDR sales processes. So what's powerful here, right, if you think about what I showed earlier, personalized video has to personalize to the persona, right? Again, it's not just that surface level, like here's your name in a video. That's kind of cute, and it can help your conversion rate a little bit. But personalizing to the persona is really where your prospect starts to feel empowered and able to drive a conversation internally. So another challenge, I guess, that SDRs run into is that they don't typically know when a prospect engages with content. Well, let me take that back. There's lots of technology. You probably have technology that tells you when a prospect opens an email or maybe even clicks on a certain piece of content. But what you don't typically know is when another stakeholder views that particular piece of content and who they are, right? It doesn't discover who they are and ask them questions and gather insights on a stakeholder by stakeholder basis so that you can identify the whole buying group. So it's not good enough just to get notifications when the initial prospect engages with you. You need notifications when additional stakeholders are discovered and engage with content so that you can call them within 5 minutes of that notification. That's a really powerful use case for personalized video. Another issue is that SDRs don't typically know which aspects of your offering are valuable to that individual prospect. They only know that something was clicked on or how long something was viewed. Though the insights, right, how they're engaging with these personalized videos is really key, right? So personalized video should be interactive and gathering discovery insights, and it can do that for you. So one of the last things that I want to mention about SDRs is that, again, this concept that real pipeline has educated buying groups. SDRs and marketing teams too, but SDRs should really start taking the attitude of, we are responsible for delivering educated buying groups, not just individual stakeholders. So add all of this together, right? All of these different methodologies that I've talked about, and a single SDR can produce up to 2 times the pipeline. The power of mapping your sales process, right, or building your sales process to support the way that buyers are buying in today's environment, right, asynchronously, personalized to the persona, right, at scale, that it can have a massive impact on your SDR production. But it doesn't stop there. So let's go. So we've talked about kind of the how to use personalized video in, with your SDRs, where the gaps are. Now I'll finish up by talking about how to use it as an account executive. So if you're doing it correctly, SDRs are delivering these educated buying groups. But if they're not, then they're facing this largest problem in B2B sales, right, that we've talked about. Again, it's that 80% of your buyers want more support, and a simple, more support, meaning whatever you're doing today is not good enough. They don't feel like it's giving them the ability to go sell internally. So when you do it correctly, right, you can send personalized video to the prospect. It personalizes to them. Then the prospect can share it to the other stakeholders. And again, it's personalizing to the persona, to each individual stakeholder, so that you're getting the right messaging to the right person at the right time. If you're a solo account executive, or if you're working with a sales engineer or solutions engineer, it works the same, right? Personalized video can work for you to save to solve these problems, getting the right messaging to the right person at the right time. So the last thing that I want to share is that there's a very doing a case study on how personalized video can really impact your sales or accelerate your sales. There was a study done with a very prominent Fortune 500 company that A/B tested this across their sales team. They used all of the tactics that I've talked about today. They increased their close rate 48%, and they reduced their sales cycle by 68%. So it was a massive impact on the overall revenue that sales team was able to bring in. So I hope this has been interesting for you. I think the major takeaways are that if you're going to be using video in sales, it has to be persona. It has to have persona personalization. Otherwise, it's just kind of surface level, and it won't have the impact that I've been talking about today. It has to be shareable, because again, this is about solving the problem of selling to buying groups, and personalized video is a beautiful and powerful solution for that. And it has to be insightful. There's no reason in today's technology world that if there's if personalized video is reaching each of the different stakeholders, there's no reason that it shouldn't also be gathering discovery insights and telling you about this buying group, how they're interested, where they're aligned and misaligned. It's a really, really powerful opportunity there. And of course, it really should be integrated into your sales process. So you should be able to use it in the email tools that you're sending out, or use that your sales team is using. So with that summary, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Inside Sales. Thank you to everybody that viewed this talk. It's an incredibly exciting time to be in the world of account-based selling, video personalization. The technology is getting better and better. And so I urge you to try this, to investigate it, see how you can work personalized video into your sales process so that you can see the impact that many companies have seen so far. Thanks again. Enjoy the other talks at the Sales Acceleration Technology Summit, and feel free to reach out to me. Again, it's at Matt Behrend or at Go Consensus for our company. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions about personalized video or personalized video technology, and most importantly, the methodology of how to use it. Have a great day.